In the heart of Chicago's historic Wicker Park neighborhood, where Victorian brownstones stood like silent guardians of forgotten eras, lived Marcus Thompson. At 35, Marcus was a quiet architect, specializing in restoring old buildings, much like the one he called home. The brownstone had been in his family for generations, passed down from his great-grandparents who had emigrated from Ireland in the early 1900s. It was a three-story relic with creaking oak floors, stained glass windows that caught the afternoon sun in kaleidoscopic patterns, and a basement filled with relics of the past. But the most treasured items were his late grandmother Eleanor's jewelry collection, antique pieces of gold, silver, and gemstones that whispered stories of love, loss, and resilience. Marcus had inherited the house 5 years ago after Eleanor's passing. It was around then that he met Lila, a vivacious 32-year-old graphic designer with a smile that could light up the foggiest Chicago morning. They met at a local art gallery opening, where Lila's bold designs caught his eye. She was struggling with freelance gigs, bouncing between cramped apartments, and Marcus, ever the gentleman, offered her a place to stay temporarily. "Just until you get on your feet," he said. But temporary turned into permanent. Lila moved in, and their relationship blossomed. She brought color to his structured life, painting the walls in vibrant hues, hosting impromptu dinner parties, and filling the house with laughter. Marcus paid the bills, the mortgage, and even helped with her student loans. In return, she cooked elaborate meals, managed the household, and made him feel less alone in the echoing halls of the brownstone. For the first few years, it was idyllic. Marcus worked long hours at his firm, sketching blueprints for revitalizing Chicago's aging landmarks. Lila freelanced from home, her laptop perched on the antique mahogany desk in the study. She often admired Eleanor's jewelry, which Marcus kept in a locked velvet-lined box in the master bedroom's safe. "These are stunning," she'd say, holding up a sapphire necklace or a pair of emerald earrings. "Your grandma had impeccable taste." Marcus would smile and share stories. The necklace Eleanor wore on her wedding day, the earrings gifted by his grandfather after their first child was born. Lila seemed genuinely fascinated, and sometimes Marcus even let her wear a piece for special occasions. But cracks began to appear. Lila's freelance work dried up about 2 years in. She blamed the economy, the rise of AI and design, anything but herself. Marcus encouraged her to apply for steady jobs, but she always had excuses. Interviews that fell through, clients who ghosted. Instead, she spent more time on social media, building her Instagram profile as an aspiring influencer. Her posts were a curated fantasy, glamorous outfits bought on Marcus's credit card, scenic Chicago shots from their rooftop, and cryptic captions about chasing dreams. Marcus noticed the spending, new clothes, spa days, weekend getaways with friends, but he brushed it off. "She's going through a rough patch," he'd tell himself. Love made him blind. One crisp autumn evening, Marcus returned home earlier than usual. The firm had landed a big contract restoring a landmark theater, and he wanted to celebrate with Lila. He carried a bouquet of lilies, her favorite, and a bottle of champagne. The house was unusually quiet. No music blaring from the kitchen, no aroma of her signature paella. "Lila?" he called, climbing the stairs to the master bedroom. She wasn't there. The safe door was slightly ajar, a detail that sent a chill down his spine. Marcus had the only key, or so he thought. He opened it fully. The velvet box was there, but lighter. Panic rising, he flipped it open. Half the jewelry was missing. The sapphire necklace, the emerald earrings, a diamond brooch, and several gold rings. His heart pounded. Burglary? But the house showed no signs of forced entry. He rifled through drawers, checked under the bed, nothing. Then, on Lila's nightstand, he spotted her phone, left behind in her haste. It was unlocked, a rare oversight. What he found shattered him. Text messages to a contact named Alex. "Sold the sapphire for $5K. Enough for the ring deposit?" Alex replied, "Perfect, babe. Can't wait to make it official." Scrolling back, months of conversations unfolded. A secret affair. Photos of them together in hotel rooms, plans for trips Marcus thought were girls' weekends, and worse, images of Eleanor's jewelry with captions like "vintage finds," "pawn shop," "gold mine." Receipts attached via email links showed sales to various pawn shops in Chicago, totaling over $20,000. Marcus sat on the bed, the phone trembling in his hands. Lila had been stealing from him, not just money, but pieces of his family's soul to fund her engagement to another man. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. He heard the front door open downstairs. "Marcus, you home early?" Lila's voice, cheerful as ever. He composed himself, pocketing her phone. "Up here," he called. She entered, smiling, but her expression faltered when she saw the open safe. "What's going on?" "Sit down, Lila. We need to talk." She perched on the edge of the bed, feigning innocence. "Is everything okay? You look upset." "The jewelry. It's gone. Half of it." She widened her eyes. "What? Oh my God! Were we robbed?" "No," Marcus said flatly, pulling out her phone. "You sold it. To pawn shops. To buy an engagement ring for Alex." Her color drained from her face. For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then she burst into tears. "Marcus, it's not what you think. You gifted them to me, remember? You said I could wear them, and I thought—" "Gifted? Lila, those were family heirlooms. I never gave them to you permanently. And these texts? You've been seeing this guy for months, planning to marry him while living here on my dime." Her sobs turned to anger. "Theft? After 5 years? I decorated this place, made it a home. I deserve something." Marcus stood, his voice steady despite the rage boiling inside. "You deserve nothing. Pack your things. You're leaving tonight." "You can't kick me out. I live here." "Not anymore. And I'm calling the police."
The police arrived within 20 minutes. 2 officers, a seasoned detective named Ramirez and a younger patrolman, Officer Hale. Marcus greeted them at the door, the brownstone's antique chandelier casting long shadows in the foyer. Lila was in the living room, suitcases half-packed, her face streaked with mascara. "Sir, you reported a theft?" Detective Ramirez asked, notepad in hand. "Yes, my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, has been stealing and selling my late grandmother's jewelry. I have proof." Marcus showed them the texts, the pawn shop receipts he'd screenshotted, and the empty velvet box. The officers examined the evidence, their expressions hardening. Lila interjected, her voice quivering. "Officers, this is a misunderstanding. Marcus gifted me those pieces. We've been together 5 years. It's basically common property." "Ma'am, gifts don't include selling without permission," Officer Hale said, "and these texts suggest otherwise." Ramirez turned to Marcus. "Value of the items? Around $25,000, appraised last year. Sentimental value is priceless." They questioned Lila further. She stuck to her story. "He said I could have them. I was just liquidating assets for us." But the texts contradicted her. Explicit mentions of secrecy and funding our engagement. The officers advised Marcus to file a formal report. "We'll need to visit the pawn shops to recover what we can," Ramirez said. "In the meantime, ma'am, if you're not on the deed or lease and the homeowner wants you out—" Lila's eyes flashed. "I have rights. I've lived here for years." "Not as a tenant," Marcus countered. "No rent paid, no agreement." After a tense hour, Lila left with her bags, hailing an Uber to a hotel. "This isn't over, Marcus. You'll regret this." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He changed the locks, installed a temporary security camera from a nearby store, and called his cousins. The Thompson family was close-knit. Eleanor's grandchildren, Marcus, his cousin Sarah, a lawyer in the Loop, and Jake, a tech whiz in the suburbs, had grown up sharing holidays in the brownstone. Sarah answered first. "Marcus, what's wrong?" He poured out the story. Sarah was furious. "That witch! I'll look into legal options. Send me the evidence." Jake chimed in on a group call. "I'll legally investigate her online activity, see if there's more." By morning, Lila had fired her first salvo. On Instagram, where she had 15,000 followers, she posted a tearful video. "Betrayed by the man I loved. He threw me out after I borrowed some old jewelry he never cared about. Now he's calling the cops. I'm heartbroken, homeless, and fighting for what's mine. Hashtag wronged woman. Hashtag justice for Lila." Comments flooded in. "Girl, you deserve better. Sue him." But skeptics emerged. Borrowed? Sounds shady. Marcus didn't respond publicly, yet. Instead, he visited the pawn shops with the police. At the first, on Milwaukee Avenue, the owner recognized the sapphire necklace. "Yeah, a woman sold it last week. Paid cash." They recovered it and 2 rings. At the second shop, the emerald earrings were gone, resold, but receipts confirmed Lila's involvement. Back home, Jake called. Dude, I dug into her socials and phone records. You gave me access to the texts, right? She's been seeing this Alex guy for 8 months. He's a real estate agent in Lincoln Park. And get this, she's been posting disguised photos of the jewelry on a private Etsy shop, calling them vintage replicas. Sold a few knockoffs too, but the real ones went to pawns. Sarah added, legally, it's theft. No gift documentation. We can press charges for grand larceny. And her social media? Defamation if she keeps lying. Marcus felt a surge of support. Let's do it, but carefully. Lila escalated. She messaged Marcus, drop this or I'll tell everyone you're abusive. Kept me trapped here, controlling my finances. Attached was a screenshot of her bank statement, showing transfers from him twisted as proof of control. He forwarded it to Sarah. Countersuit material. The cousins convened at the brownstone that weekend. Sarah brought legal files, Jake a laptop full of data. They uncovered more. Lila had a secret credit card in her name, racking up debt on trips with Alex. Text revealed her plan. Once engaged, I'll leave Marcus. The jewelry money covers the ring and honeymoon deposit. She's been playing you like a fiddle, Jake said. Marcus nodded, resolve hardening. Time to fight back. Lila's sob story gained traction. A local blogger picked it up. Chicago woman evicted over family dispute. Comments sympathized with her. But Marcus, advised by Sarah, posted a measured response on his own profile. The truth. Theft of heirlooms to fund a secret affair. Evidence with police. Hashtag seek facts. The tide shifted slightly. Inquisitive followers messaged Lila. Wait, affair? Details. She doubled down, live streaming. He gifted them. Jealous ex syndrome. But the police report went public. Anonymous tip, perhaps. Details leaked. Recovered items, texts. Lila's narrative cracked. Alex entered the fray. He called Marcus. Man, leave her alone. She's suffered enough. Suffered? She stole from my family. It's complicated. She said the jewelry was hers. Believe what you want, but stay away. The confrontation peaked when Lila showed up at the brownstone with Alex demanding her things. Marcus called the police again. Officers arrived, reviewed the restraining order Sarah had filed temporarily. Ma'am, leave or face arrest. As they drove off, Lila yelled, see you in court. Sarah smiled. Perfect. That's where we'll bury this.
The courtroom in the Daily Center was a stark contrast to the warm brownstone. Cold marble floors, echoing chambers, and the weight of justice hanging in the air. It was 2 months after the discovery, and Marcus sat with Sarah at the plaintiff's table. Lila, represented by a budget lawyer she'd scraped together funds for, ironically from more freelance gigs she'd finally taken, fidgeted across the aisle. Alex was in the gallery, looking uncomfortable in an ill-fitting suit. The case, Marcus versus Lila for theft, conversion of property, and emotional distress. Countersuit from Lila for wrongful eviction and defamation. But Sarah had built an ironclad case. Judge Harlan, a no-nonsense veteran with a thick Chicago accent, called order. Let's hear the facts, not the drama. Sarah opened, Your Honor, my client discovered the defendant selling irreplaceable family heirlooms valued at $25,000 to fund her secret engagement. We have texts, receipts, and recovered items as evidence. Exhibits were presented, the velvet box, pawn slips, screenshots. Marcus testified calmly, recounting the discovery, the betrayal. These weren't just jewels. They were my grandmother's legacy. Lila knew that. Cross-examination. Lila's lawyer, a sweaty man named Hargrove, probed. Mr. Thompson, didn't you gift these items? Absolutely not. I let her wear them occasionally, but they stayed in the safe. And you supported her financially for 5 years? Yes, out of love, not obligation. Lila took the stand, tears flowing. He promised we'd marry, gave me the jewelry as symbols. When I found love elsewhere, he snapped. Sarah cross-examined sharply. Ms. Reyes, these texts sold the sapphire, ring runny. Explain. I was joking, planning to surprise him. With another man's engagement? The courtroom murmured. Judge Harlan frowned. Stick to facts, counsel. Jake's tech evidence was next. A digital forensics expert testified on the metadata, timestamps matching pawn sales to affair meetups. Cousins Sarah and Jake spoke as witnesses. We grew up with those pieces. Marcus would never gift them away.
Lila's social media posts were entered as evidence, her sob stories contradicted by timelines. Hargrove argued, free speech, emotional venting. Sarah countered, defamation. She accused abuse without proof. Alex was called reluctantly. Did Miss Reyes tell you the jewelry was hers? He shifted. Yes, but I didn't know details. And the engagement, funded by sales? Partially, she said it was her inheritance. Gasps. Lila glared at him. The climax. Sarah revealed more lies uncovered by Jake's digging. Lila had a history, previous relationships where she had borrowed items, never returned. An ex-boyfriend's statement. She took my watch, sold it, claimed gift. Judge Harlan recessed, then ruled. The evidence is overwhelming. Theft proven. Countersuit dismissed. Defendant's claims lack merit. Judgment for plaintiff. $25,000 restitution, plus $10,000 distress. Restraining order extended. Lila sobbed as bailiffs escorted her out. Outside, reporters swarmed. The story had gone viral locally. Heirloom hustler busted, headlines read. Post-trial, Marcus recovered most jewelry through police auctions. The brownstone felt lighter. Cousins celebrated with pizza in the kitchen. To family, Sarah toasted. Lila, she moved in with Alex briefly, but he bailed when debts mounted. Last seen waitressing in a Loop diner, her Instagram dormant. Alex ghosted, back to selling condos. Marcus started dating again, a fellow architect, independent and kind. He donated a replica set of the jewelry to a museum, honoring Eleanor. Looking back, the red flags, her excuses, spending, secrecy. But the ordeal strengthened him. The brownstone stood resilient, like its owner. Echoes of the past intact, future bright.